There are two ways to define the greatest basketball player of all time, and which side you are on says everything about how you watch this game. The first school of thought says greatness is defined by the highest peak, one transcendent era, one player at the absolute top of the game, winning when it matters most. This school believes one player can elevate an entire franchise. One player can change the trajectory of a city. Individual brilliance is the engine that drives team success. So if you reach the highest peak, and you won, that is greatness. Michael Jordan. 6 rings. 6 finals MVPs. Never lost a finals. Not once. The highest peak anyone has ever reached. Kobe Bryant. 5 rings. 12 all-defensive selections. 86% of his playoff opponents were 50-win teams. At his peak from 2000 to 2010, nobody was more complete. Magic Johnson, 5 championships, 3 MVPs, saved the NBA in the 1980s alongside Larry Bird. At his peak, the most important player on the most dominant team in the league, Larry Bird, 3 consecutive MVPs, 3 championships. At his peak from 1984 to 1987, as high as anyone in his era, Shaquille O'Neal, 3 consecutive championships. At his peak, the most physically unstoppable force the sport had ever seen. No answer, no solution, just dominance. Bill Russell, 11 championships in 13 seasons, the highest winning peak in the history of American professional sport. Full stop. This school says the scoreboard is the only stat that matters. The highest peak, the biggest moments, the most rings, that is the measure. The second school of thought says greatness is defined by the longest peak, not one transcendent era, 20 years of transcendence. Sustained excellence that never breaks down. This school believes rings depend too much on teammates and circumstances. Judge players by what they actually did on the court every single night for 2 decades. LeBron James, the all-time leading scorer in NBA history. 4 championships across 3 different franchises, 10 finals appearances across 2 conferences, still making all-NBA teams at 40 years old. The greatest young player and the greatest old player simultaneously. No player in history has sustained that level of excellence for that long. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 6 MVPs across 20 seasons, the second highest scorer in NBA history, won Finals MVP awards 14 years apart. His longevity is practically unrivaled. Wilt Chamberlain, 50 points and 25 rebounds per game for an entire season. Numbers so absurd, people still do not believe them. The longest statistical peak the sport has ever seen. Steph Curry changed the way basketball is played forever. 4 championships. The greatest shooter who ever lived. Sustained excellence across 15 seasons that redefined what a point guard could be. This school says sustained greatness over the longest possible period is the only fair measure, because rings fade, but excellence compounds. Now here's where it gets fascinating. Some players fit both schools, and that is exactly why this debate never ends. Magic Johnson, 5 rings, greatest passing point guard statistically. Both schools claim him. Kobe, 5 rings and 12 all-defensive selections, 9 all-NBA first-team selections. Sits right on the line between both schools. LeBron, all-time leading scorer, 4 championships across 3 franchises. Satisfies both, but never completely. And then there is Jordan, 10 scoring titles in 15 seasons, 6 rings, 6 finals MVPs, never lost a finals. The first school calls that the highest peak ever. The second school calls that the longest peak of his era. Both schools, same player. And that is exactly why this debate will never end. Highest peak or longest peak? Drop it below.